welcome to another VS Code release party. If you're new here, we do this every single month. My name's Olivia. I love hosting these because it is an amazing opportunity to have the VS Code engineers themselves come on here and talk about the features that they worked on in the most recent release. So it's a great way to see a couple of the highlights, hear from the people who worked on it themselves, and get all of your questions answered. So I'm very excited to have y'all here. Definitely let me know where y'all are tuning in from. Now we have party time. You got it. This is going to be fun. I always love doing these, especially last week. So we stream every week on our channel, but only do the release parties every month. But last week with the 4th of July holiday in the US, we just kind of took a break and kind of did a replay of a previous live stream. So this is kind of our first week back being live again. So really excited to be here and get to see y'all. Cyber Junkie, hello. How are you doing today? All right. Let's see. Oh, from Ghana. Hello, Raven. Thanks for joining. Oh, from Canada. I think y'all just had Canada Day last week as well. Ahmad. Hello. Oh, from Poland. Thanks so much for joining. This is one of my favorite things, is just being able to see where everyone is tuning in from, seeing the ways that VS Code is truly global, getting to talk to the users, and giving y'all a chance to talk to the engineers firsthand. Okay. Hello from Toronto. Okay, we got another Canadian. This is great. Okay, thank you all for saying hello and where you're tuning in from. But I know that you all are always just excited to get these parties on the road. So before we do kick off, as is tradition now on these release parties, we want to do a very quick thank you to all of the contributors that we have in our release notes. All right, so at the bottom of our release notes, we always have a section that is a thank you section. So for those of you who don't know, VS Code is an open source project. So we do rely a lot on contributions. So we have an amazing engineering team, but we also have an absolutely amazing community. So we like to always take a chance just to scroll through this list and say thank you so much for contributing, because we could not have VS Code as it is today without you all. So as always, it's a pretty long list, so I can't call you out one by one. But if your name is on this list, we do appreciate you. We appreciate your contributions. If you're watching, thank you very much. And if you're wondering how to contribute, you're always welcome to head to the VS Code repo and follow the contributing guide, so you can also one day be on this thank you list. So again, thank you so much for that. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on our first guest. She is someone who you will recognize if you've been on these release parties before, and it's Megan. Hey, Megan.
Hey, Olivia.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm very excited to show all of the accessibility work I've been doing.
Oh, me too. I love when you're on here and like on VS Code Day and everything, because accessibility is such a big part of the product. I love being able to see what you've worked on, and just kind of hearing your philosophies around accessibility and kind of making sure that that is always a forefront of the VS Code vision.
Yeah, and I represent the face of accessibility for our team, but our whole team is really committed to this. And so it's really a great atmosphere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started and see what you have for us today.
All right, great. So for a long time, we have had an accessibility help menu in the editor, which could be accessed via Alt F1 as the shortcut. And these menus provide screen reader users with an understanding of each feature, like the commands that can be run and what to expect from a feature. And last iteration, we added a menu like this also for the terminal. This iteration, we have extended this to other features with an open accessibility help command that will open a help menu based on the current context. So we've migrated the terminal and editor menus to use this, and additionally added ones for the notebook, chat panel, and inline chat features. So I will demo those.
Awesome.
First, here is the panel chat, and you'll notice when I focus this, you see the screen reader text here is reading to me how I can open this, which is Alt and F1. So that's how we make this discoverable to screen reader users, and then pressing Alt and F1 opens this, and you can see I can go line by line, character by character in here and inspect exactly what I'm interested in. And so this is a very accessible way to view information that's pretty important and vital for screen reader users. So check it out. You'll also see that down here, it mentions that you can disable this setting that provides the hint in the ARIA label about this help menu, so that every time you focus the chat panel, if you've already viewed the help menu, you don't have to hear that again, which is very convenient. You can also do this in the settings, and this applies to all of the various help menus that we have. So we also have a help menu in the notebook now that you can see gives very detailed instructions on what to expect from a notebook as a screen reader user and commands that can be run, etc. And we also have this for the inline chat. So if I do start code chat, and I do Alt F1, ground key, yes, you can see we've got detailed information here as well. So that is nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because I mean, I think that, Copilot Chat is so new. And I think sometimes people think that accessibility is an afterthought, but this is so obvious that this is something that you and the rest of the team are really trying to create a forefront, as new features of Copilot Chat are coming out.
Right, and it's easy to explore a feature that you can just test out visually and sort of notice stuff, but as a screen reader user, you don't have that luxury. And so we're trying to accommodate that here and make it very clear and usable, because it's such a cool feature, and we want screen reader users to test it out and let us know if it's not working for them, and so that we can improve it.
Absolutely. I know you showed a couple of different help menus here. Are there plans for any other help menus?
Yes, there is one that Henning actually was just working on for the Diff Editor. And I think that's all we have planned now, but please create issues on GitHub if you think of any areas that were tough for you as a screen reader user to figure out, so that we can add that.
Awesome.
Yeah, we have another new command, Open Accessible View, which can be invoked with the sort of parallel Alt F2 shortcut key. And this allows screen reader users to inspect rich content character by character, line by line, using arrow keys, just like you saw in the help menu. And currently we have support for this in the hover and the chat panel response. So I'll first show the hover and what that looks like. Okay. It's not allowing me, I can do Command KI, great. And then Alt F2. Okay, let me try that again, Alt F2. I think maybe this is messing with it, having the speech thing up. So I'm gonna try this.
We love live demos because of this though.
Oh, there it is, okay.
Nice.
So yes, you see that up pops this thing where with a screen reader, I can go character by character and inspect the hover contents. And similarly, we have this, you can see that responses from Copilot Chat can be quite lengthy, and formerly how a screen reader would hear this information is they would hear it all at once. So just as a div, so you'd hear this all at once, which is quite overwhelming. And frankly, you might want to go back to a component of it. And so now we allow, again, this character by character, line by line navigation within here, and you just press escape and it focuses just where you were before. So this is super handy. And I can also demo while I'm here, we have new audio cues for the chat response when you send the request, when you have a pending response, and when you receive the response back. And just a note, when you're a screen reader user, so in screen reader optimized mode, you'll only have the pending response queue play if a request takes more than 4 seconds, and then it plays every subsequent 4 seconds after that. For non-screen reader users, these are all disabled by default, but frankly, I keep them all on because I really like the noises and the sound of them. So I'll just demo that. So if I want to ask a question about VS Code, like terminal settings.
Yeah, you can hear that.
So those are quite probably subtle and hard to hear, but yeah, I'll do it again. So hopefully you could hear that. Again, it's pretty subtle, but I encourage you, whether or not you're a screen reader user, to try these out because it can take varying amounts of time to get a response back. And I find they're very pleasant to use.
Yeah, and I definitely think, I mean, we can hear a little bit here, but I think, it's probably a lot louder when you're actually using it versus coming through the screen recording here.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can definitely hear that though. So definitely recommend trying that out. As Megan said, it's helpful. I think that's always a really great point, is accessibility is very, very important. And, it's important for everyone. It gives people different options as well. So it's great for screen reader users who rely on it, but it's also a great way to, like Megan was saying, it helps her workflow as well, even though she doesn't rely on screen readers. So it's really great.
Yeah. So let me ask one more question from Copilot. And you'll see that the response is now read by the screen reader to the screen reader user immediately upon getting the response back visually. So that is another improvement we've made. And this also works in the inline chat as well. So a lot of improvements have been made that I didn't mention here to the whole Copilot experience. So check it out, especially if you're a screen reader user, because it should be much, much better. And there have already been more improvements made since then in Insiders.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's a great plug to definitely check out the release notes. What we show in these release parties is just kind of scratching the surface of everything that's available. So definitely make sure to check out those release notes so you can kind of see everything that's going on and try out all those new features. Okay, so I know you showed the accessible view in a couple places here in Copilot chat. Are there any other places where that would pop up that people would want to know about?
Yeah, so another place that has a lot of content that you might not want to hear just all at once as a screen reader user is in notebook output. And so we're planning on adopting an accessible view in notebook output. So keep checking that. That should be in Insiders pretty soon. And then also in the notifications view, I don't have any kind of bulky notification text here, but you can imagine if there's more information in a notification and you really want to make sure you understand it, or there's a particular point you want to go back to before deciding what to do about it, then you'll be able to open the accessible view and do that before taking an action. And same thing goes for this. If you're a screen reader user, please let us know where else in the product you'd find this useful. My whole goal is to not add features where we don't need them or where screen reader users wouldn't use them. So I'm being conservative in where I apply this and just waiting to hear from the actual users.
Yeah, awesome. I think, that's such a great point. You do so much work behind the scenes partnering with screen reader users. You're not just like willy-nilly be like, oh yeah, this would be cool. Like, you are having such close collaborations with people.
They provide such amazing insight. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Okay, Megan, are there any other things you want to show or that you want to talk about that are on the roadmap for accessibility?
No, I think I'll hold my cards close to my chest on that one so people have some suspense for next time.
I love it. Okay, cool. So we have Ahmed said, thanks, Megan. I think he speaks for everyone here. We're always so happy to have you here and to see the work that you and the rest of the team are doing for accessibility. Again, check out the release notes if you want to see even more about what those accessibility details are and other release updates. Thanks, Megan. We'll definitely have you back on soon.
Great. Thank you.
All right. So that's going to bring us to our next demo by Connor. Hey, Connor.
Yeah, hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. So for those of you following closely, you might have seen that back in January, we released the first stable version of remote tunnels. And you can go ahead and share my screen here. Yeah. So tunnels is basically, initially it's kind of marketed as an alternative to SSH. So like what we did was we introduced this new thing called tunnels as well as the VS Code CLI. So if you're either running VS Code UI, you can turn on tunnels, or you can download the standalone command interface here. And then once you run the tunnel command on there, then you'll have this tunnel available that you can connect to from VS Code Dev, as well as from the VS Code Desktop on any machine. And so this was kind of cool. But what we realized is that now that we have this little like small standalone CLIs that can actually use that to kind of power up and kind of like integrate our other remote scenarios. And so last month's iteration kind of made stable the first version of this, which is being able to connect to a WSL remote when you have a tunnel running on Windows. And this is pretty cool because this is actually the first time that you can connect to WSL remotely from different machines. So if you run the tunnel command on a Windows machine, then you can connect to WSL, and that's what I'm going to show you today.
Okay, cool.
So here I am on VS Code Dev. I have my Windows computer upstairs already hosting a tunnel. So if you go to the remote tunnels view, you see that this is my computer name right here, and then now there's a new option to connect to WSL on that machine. If I go ahead and click it, I'll be prompted to actually install the WSL extension, which now works on the web. So once I do that, then I go back to the Explorer, and then I can simply hit the arrow. Actually, click on the arrow. There we go. Then it'll have to do an initial connection to get some metadata about my machine, and then it's going here and should hopefully successfully connect to WSL. So you see that this kind of flow is pretty similar to what you have if you were connected directly there. And then you can see if I do like host name, this now looks very Linuxy. You can see that now I am on Linux and I'm actually running inside WSL here. So this was actually kind of previewed the release before last, but now this kind of like new action of being able to connect from the Remote Explorer is new, and then we can also do the exact same thing on VS Code Desktop.
Okay,
so
cool.
On VS Code Desktop, if you haven't used tunnels yet, what you first want to do is install the Remote Tunnels extension. So if you just look for tunnel, you can install that there, and then I'll also go ahead and install the WSL extension as well because I know that I'll need that. And then just like we do on VS Code Dev, we can open the remote view. You can ignore all my SSH connections there. And then we can connect to WSL on there. And then it's pretty much the same flow. It'll tunnel there, it'll connect. And then we can like open folders, and I can say like I want to go, where's my open folder dialog? There we go. Home corner, I can like go to my GitHub stuff there, and then to preview WSL again, I can also go to my like C drive. Say I want to go to my account there in GitHub, and then open the VS Code repo, for example. So that all works just like you just like would if you were actually developing locally.
So in the Remote Explorer where it has that connect to WSL, will that automatically pop up if it registers that your tunnel is Windows? Like, is that how that kind of shows?
So it'll pop up. It'll pop up if your tunnel is Windows and if you have the WSL enabled on Windows. So on Windows, WSL I think still is not enabled by default. If you Google just like WSL on Windows, I think actually you can install it from the Microsoft Store now. And then when you do that, then next time you start your tunnel, it'll say, "Hey, WSL is available here," and it'll go ahead and make that connection available.
Cool.
Yep.
And if someone had, a tunnel kind of already up, and then, this update happened, do they need to restart that tunnel for them to now see this connect to WSL functionality, or how does that work?
Yeah. So to do this, you have to make sure that you're using the most recent version of VS Code, both on the tunnel side as well as on your UI side. If you're using VS Code Dev, you get that automatically. If your tunnel needs to be updated, then it would show you like a notification saying, "Hey, you want to update your tunnel," and then you can hit a button there, and then it'll do that next time you reconnect. So that should be pretty smooth, but you do want to make sure that you're up to date. Otherwise, you won't see this entry here if you're not up to date.
Okay, cool. So basically, update everything, and then you should be good to see that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the flow here. It's pretty simple, but it's like kind of a new scenario, and also this kind of lays the groundwork for doing a lot of other cool things. So this iteration, I'm actually looking at enabling the same thing over SSH, so you can also connect to WSL over SSH, and then like later on we'll make tunnels, or make containers work the same way, so that you can kind of nest these remotes as deep as you need to in order to get to whatever machine or VM device that you actually want to develop on.
Remote development is so powerful. And I love seeing everything that y'all's team does to kind of make it as integrated as possible and kind of have that same flow no matter where you're going, whether it's starting from the tunnel or not. It really is just so cool because we already always have people who be like, oh, well, what about like this one random scenario I'm doing? Be like, oh yeah, we're working on that. I feel like it's just kind of always like very user focused on what workflows people are doing. It's like, okay, yeah, we'll bring that straight to the editor. It will be all set up. So I think that's really cool. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Is there anything else you want to show us about tunnels or remote development in general?
I think that's about it. Yeah, if you haven't used tunnels before, it's really easy to set up. So you should check out our docs there. It's like under 5 minutes work. And yeah, you can give it a shot. You can then like run tunnel on your like home PC like I am right now, and then this works like no matter where you are. It works like VS Code Dev works on your phone. It works on your iPad. So it's a really good way if you want to like kind of like develop on the go, but still be able to have the resources that you have at home. If you're like at a coffee shop, on a train, on a bus, that kind of thing. So it's pretty cool.
Absolutely. So powerful. We have those docs listed on the screen here, so feel free to go there. We also put it in the YouTube chat as well, so you can go ahead and easily go there. So check that out. Hey, GPS, she said dream team. And then Kevin says, great demo, Connor. I agree. This is always great. I know we'll definitely have you on in the future as well, because there's always really cool updates. I think we're actually going to be having Bridget on in a couple weeks for one of our regular live streams just to talk a little bit more about remote development. So if this is something that interests you, something that you use a lot, definitely tune in and make sure to subscribe to our channel so you can check that out and attend our future release parties where I'm sure Connor will be back on to show us the cool things they're working on. Thanks so much, Connor. Take care.
Yeah, thank you. See ya.
All right, that brings us to our final demo with Henning.
Hi, Olivia.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for being here. I know it's probably been a few months at least since we've had you on the release party, but I know you've been on just our regular live streams as well, showing different visualizing algorithms, which was one of our top streams. And I think we're going to have you on again in a couple months just to kind of deep dive into some of the diff work you've been doing. But that's all stuff that's very exciting. So let's talk a little bit about what you're going to show in the release party today.
So I brought the Diff Editor with me, and probably you're all very familiar already with the Diff Editor. I think it's in the product since its release many, many years ago. And last year, we rewrote the diff algorithm for the merge editor. I think I showed the merge editor on one of the release parties. So that was 1 year ago, but the algorithm is basically just the backend. And now this update or this iteration, we rewrote the diff editor, so basically the front end of that. And you can see it here now already. And at that first glimpse, it basically just looks like before. And it is also mostly like before, but there are some cool things. So this rewrite enabled us to add some super cool features. And I think the feature you're all waiting for in the diff editor is collapsing the unchanged regions in the editor. So there's this button here that you can toggle, and then basically all the lines that didn't change get collapsed, and you can focus on the changes. So before I had to use these arrow keys to navigate between the changes or find them here in the map. But now I can just click this button here, and then it collapses, and then I see all the diffs.
That's so nice. That saves so much just like scrolling and button clicking and everything to just visualize it right there.
But still, sometimes you actually might want to see what is above something, and then you can just drag this line here up, for example, and then you can reveal basically code that is there. Or you can also just click it, and then it reveals a bunch of lines.
Cool. So if you want that context still to kind of view the changes. Okay.
You can move it in both directions here. And if you just click it, it reveals 15 lines at once. And you can also move it back. So you're in control of the context you want to see. So that's
says that's a very time-saving feature. And
yes,
Sempra says nice. So lots of love for that.
Still, at the moment, we only show one file at once, but maybe in the future, we have an experience that is similar to GitHub, where you can also see multiple files stacked. But this is far in the future. And already this feature, this new diff editor, it's not enabled by default yet for the stable that we just shipped. To try it out, you have to use this setting. So this new diff editor is still very experimental. So you have to set diff editor.experimental.use version 2 and set that to true. And then you have to reload VS Code, and only then you get this new experience. Also, I can really recommend you to configure the diff algorithm to be the advanced one. This one is already rolled out to many users, so you might already have that, but it's not yet for all users, because we wanted to explore some issues there. So what other features does the diff editor bring? I have another diff here. Let me go here and collapse the change. So here we also improved many things with this rewrite. So we fixed a bunch of bugs, but also did some minor quality of life improvements. For that, let me show you how it looked before. So this is VS Code from a couple of months ago. And here you can see the diff is a little bit confusing because the background here ends here, and then it's not extremely clear what happened here. But if you compare this with how it looks now, here is now a very solid background that spans all the lines. So you can be sure that this is all the stuff that got inserted, and only the stuff that doesn't have a strong background color is the one that did not change. So the noise is basically reduced a bit, and I think this makes it easier to scan what happened.
That's so great. And just to confirm, so all these features you're showing are going to be available once you set that experimental version to diff editor in the settings.json, right?
Yes. Once you set use version 2 for the diff editor, then when you reload VS Code, then you have all these features. And probably in 1 or 2 months, we will also make this the default experience for the new diff editor. But until then, we want to make sure that we didn't introduce new bugs and other issues, because the diff editor is actually huge.
Richard says, looks way clearer. Great job.
Thank you. So there are many other quality of life improvements. For example, in the previous version of VS Code, when you would switch tabs, there was always a little bit of flickering. I don't know if you can see it in the live stream here now, but here it really it flickers, and you can see that things are happening. I don't know if you can see it on the live stream, but now with this new diff editor, when you switch tabs,
you can definitely tell the difference on the
there's no flickering at all. And also when you edit in the diff editor previously, so I'm going to add a new line here at line 10. You can see it takes a while until basically the sides align again. So you can see if you compare line 10 on the left with line 17 on the right, if I now press enter, they are out of sync for a little bit. And this is annoying if you type a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But now, if you do this, it updates immediately. There's no flickering anymore.
Right, that's instant. It's side by side.
Yes. So there are a bunch of other small improvements, like faster loading speed or some edge cases of bugs that are all fixed now. But there's one feature that I'm really proud of, and that's showing moves. So in this diff here, you can see this block got inserted, so it's green. This block here, infinite timeout, got deleted. And then down here, diff algorithm also got deleted, and it seems to be moved to here. And here with infinite timeout, maybe it's also moved to here. We can see it got inserted here, so maybe it's also a move. So it's a little bit difficult to review this when you just see the diffs like this. But there's a setting here, show moves. And if you enable this, basically you can see with the lines how the code got moved. So you can see that the infinite timeout here, when you follow the line, got moved to here. and that the diff algorithm here got moved up all the way to here. But for these moves, sometimes it's not just a pure move, but there are also some changes. So ideally, if you want to do a proper review, you actually also want to compare what changed within the move.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, here you can just click into this move, and then magically the other side aligns to that.
Whoa!
And you can basically get diff of the original code block for the move and the code block after the move. And then you can see, oh, someone changed is valid from false to true here.
That is awesome. This is like, I feel like only people who have spent so much time looking at diffs can really appreciate this. Where you're like looking, you're like, oh wait, that's just the same thing as there. It's just a move. And then it's like all of a sudden you realize, wait, no, it wasn't just a move. Like there was one tiny difference. So this is so helpful to be able to like really see side by side and see the mapping. Be like, okay, yeah, this showed move here. That is so cool. I'm a big fan.
This is exactly why I really wanted to have this feature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you click on any side, and then it just aligns the other side. And here you can, for example, see that someone removed this parameter. And yeah, I hope this really makes it much easier to check what is going on in moves. So
yeah, we've already got next level, game changer. Wow. Hey, Doug. So definitely a big improvement here.
It's nice to hear. There are some caveats, though. The algorithm for detecting moves is still in its infancy. And there are some moves that are not detected. Only very simple ones are detected. So when you move too many things at once, then the algorithm can get confused. But that's maybe something I can talk about in the live stream.
Yeah, the deep dive, totally. So, you've kind of mentioned that this is experimental. As, if people decide to enable this setting and they're trying this out, how should they let you know any feedback that they come across?
So ideally, they just create GitHub issues and share everything they can. Okay. And ideally, that would include both the original file and the modified file, so that it's really easy for us to reproduce and see what's going on.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So yeah, definitely try this out. And then go ahead and go on the repo, file any issues. If you have any suggestions for how it could be better, or if you have any bugs. And yeah, like Henning said, it's easiest for us to help you if you provide as much information as possible. So that way we don't have to do it back and forth and can then, help troubleshoot side by side there.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And I know we're going to be having you on, in like just a few weeks to kind of do a deep dive into the diff algorithm. But since you did kind of mention in your settings that you said it would be cool to kind of have that advanced algorithm enabled, do you want to just give like a very quick overview of what that is and what people would expect to see if they do decide to enable that?
So the only thing that changes is the way or the alignments. So it's basically, it's the logic that computes what are the equal things and what are the things that changed. And the advanced diff algorithm has many more heuristics that improve the readability of some diffs. And it's, there are many improvements. I have a list of examples somewhere, but I don't think I can find them right now.
Okay, yeah, no worries. I think that's a nice little teaser. I think it's the end of August we'll be having you back on, I believe, to kind of do a deeper dive into that diff algorithm. So definitely check out our live stream schedule so that y'all don't miss that. Okay, Henning, this is great. Is there anything else you want to show with the diff editor?
Yeah, I forgot to mention that this collapsed lines feature also works, of course, in the inline view. The inline view also has been there in the previous diff editor, but this hidden lines feature also works here. So if you like this mode, then we still got you covered.
Awesome. Cool. Any other final thoughts or things on the roadmap you want to chat about?
I have been super busy with the diff editor, and you can expect also some cool updates next iteration, hopefully.
Awesome. Cool. And yeah, same thing. Another plug for the release notes. Definitely make sure that you're checking those out every month. You can either go to the link that I think we put up earlier, and it's just ak.ms/vscode-release, or within VS Code, you can run the command show release note.
Yeah.
I'm back, I think. Can you hear me?
I think we can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. During any of that, because it was like going. But the gist of it was, thank you so much, Henning, for coming on. And
Thanks for having
definitely
me.
make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us, on Twitter, so that way you can. All right. Okay. I think we're going to go ahead and just use this before I'm lost again to say thank you, everyone. And we will see you next month for another release party and next week for another VS Code live stream. Thanks, everyone.